Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is a 2015 adventure game developed by the Chinese Room. It was released for Windows on 14th April 2016. The genre is what they call a walking simulator. As the player, we explore a small English village whose inhabitants have mysteriously disappeared. The player can interact with objects such as doors, radios, phones, fences, and power switches. The game takes place in a fictional English village. My aim is to explore the village and try to uncover how and why everyone in the village disappeared. Balls of light float in the air and lead us to scenes which reenact various events that occurred before the villagers disappeared. The reenactments are made up of other human-shaped figures which light up when they speak. They play out like out-of-time, self-contained, witnessed conversations. Many of these conversations are from the period shortly before everyone disappeared, when people knew something was happening but didn't understand exactly what. As people seek out their neighbors to discuss the situation, you realize that the game is set in the 1980s. Following the light from scene to scene across the village, we come across many interactions, telephones, and radios that replay conversations, recordings, and broadcasts, which provide puzzle pieces to the game's main event, the Rapture. Now, Rapture is a word to be understood in a religious context. In a biblical context, to be precise. Rapture refers to the transporting of believers to heaven at the second coming of Christ. This belief is prominent within a subset of Christianity. The name, along with the loose concept of an utopia, has been used many times previously, such as the underwater city of Rapture in BioShock. Anyway, the game is divided into 6 parts, each revolving around a different character. The first character we follow is Jeremy Wheeler, who is a father, the religious kind. Even though he is the religious leader of the village, he promotes a sense of community and cooperation. He tries to help everyone and in turn is disliked by some of the residents. One of those residents is Wendy Boyle, our second character in focus. Wendy is a widow and mother of Stephen Appleton. She is very religious, but she does not approve of Father Jeremy's actions. She is not afraid to voice her thoughts and opinions in front of anyone, and she likes feeding the birds. The next character we follow is Frank Appleton, Wendy's brother and Stephen's uncle. He is a farmer and more of a common man. He gives good advice to young people who work for him, keeps an open mind, and treats outsiders with honesty, and gets angry when things get out of control. The fourth character we follow is Lizzie, which is short for Elizabeth Graves. She is the wife of Robert Graves. Long ago, she was engaged to Stephen, and Wendy wanted her as a daughter-in-law. Lizzie helps out in the community, but wishes she had left the village to venture out into the world when she was younger. Next we follow Stephen Appleton, son of Wendy, ex-fiancé of Lizzie, and husband of Catherine Collins. He is a scientist, and he had left his home to go to the United States for research, where he met Kate, who was a fellow researcher. He comes back home and brings his wife Kate, so that they can both work at the Vallis Observatory in his home village. The character in focus in the sixth and final part is the main protagonist, Dr. Catherine Collins, also known as Kate. I say that she is the main protagonist as the first and last voice we come across is hers. She is also a scientist like Stephen, but she seems more serious about their work compared to Stephen and has no time to get involved in the community. As the only American character in the story, her accent is distinct, and in a small English village, she goes through the fish out of water phase, as almost all of the villagers treat her differently. Wendy clearly displays her dislike for Kate, as she still hopes that her son and Lizzie will get together. Among all this juicy domestic conflict, Stephen and Kate observe an anomaly and begin studying it, calling it the pattern. They observe the pattern infecting and sometimes killing other life forms such as birds and cows before spreading to humans. Kate concludes that the pattern is attempting to communicate with humans, ignorant of the harm that it is causing. As the town's population dwindles, it seems that the light, or pattern, has learned to travel not just through direct human contact, but through the telephone lines, radio waves, and television sets. While we don't know the cause of the apocalypse initially, we know that it is unlike most post-apocalyptic games and movies. Rapture's biggest weakness is its non-linearity, which means the events you witness don't follow a specific chronology, so technically every gameplay can be unique, which is bound to make some players reach the end without knowing half the story. But maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the point. Just like in life, you miss out on some stuff and don't get to witness a situation from multiple perspectives, and sometimes you don't get to know about a situation at all. If you are learning the English language, this game will introduce you to the English accent, with every character other than Catherine being a native of the United Kingdom. I have played the entire game and it took me a bit longer than 4 hours. But I have edited the gameplay, cut out all the boring exploration bits, and only included the parts that contain dialogues, recordings, and conversations. The dialogues are brilliantly written, and along with the awesome voice acting, the conversations sound and feel real. If you want to know what exactly happened to the residents of the village, feel free to dive in and solve the puzzle. Think of it like watching a movie not meant for children as there is mature language used, as real people do when they get angry. After you finish watching, feel free to let me know what you think happened to all the people. Go ahead, and thank you for watching.